Hi, how are you? This is Sandstorm here, and welcome to Paradox Studios' Victorian-era World War I Grand Strategy War and Economics map game, Victoria 2. Today we're going to be starting as Prussia, and hopefully forming Super Germany, one of the best exploits in the game. If you enjoy Victoria 2 enough, this could continue into a short series as well. We will be using a Divided House DLC along with Heart of Darkness, which I believe is all of the current Victoria 2 DLC. So, let's start a new single-player game. We'll be using the Grand Campaign in the 1836 scenario, and selecting Prussia. Let's begin. So now that we have loaded in, we can begin to sort out our nation. You may notice we have a few alliance offers at the top of our screen. We're going to accept these all, and I don't think we actually need to send alliance offers using our diplomatic points, because I believe all of these smaller German states that are currently in our sphere of influence, which you can access by pressing F on the keyboard, or this button down here, and you can get back to the political map mode by pressing W or this button right here. You can see which nations are in your sphere of influence, and most likely will offer you an alliance, and press R to see who you are allied to. We are allied to Switzerland, and we just got some alliance offers from a few other of these nations. Speaking of alliances, a good ally for Prussia at the beginning of the game is the United Kingdom, as they are quite difficult to take out without a large navy, which Prussia does not have, and they are quite powerful themselves. They're #1 world power. They will accept the alliance. Let's send that off straight away. Technology, not sure which one we should do. I think we should probably go with either an army or an industry focus. Railroad is usually pretty good, but I think we're going to go for muzzle-loaded rifles since we're going to be in a few early wars to try and form Super Germany fairly quickly. Prussia can make money quite easily, so it's not usually too difficult to balance a budget like it might be for a smaller nation. So you can turn up your education and administration a bit of the way, and it can be helpful to turn up the military spending. Although the tariffs are really helpful, so is the tax, which will help us get out of the deficit. As soon as we unpause, it's going to start going up a lot more than it is projected. Even though it is projected to be in the red, -289, I believe once we pause, it's going to start going up like crazy. We've got 2 national focuses available. Let's go to our most populous states and encourage soldiers. I think that'll be handy, as we are going to be in some early wars, and we're going to need to recruit a few more troops. Speaking of recruitment, let's go in and build an army, not irregulars. Make sure you click infantry. We'll build up some infantry and some artillery as well. Let's go and build some more ships in our navy. You can tell how many ships you're building if it's going to be oversupply when this number up here turns red. Currently it's yellow, which means that you are within your supply. So it is projected that you won't go over your supply. So let's build a man-of-war, a few frigates, and then some clipper transports. And now our numbers turn red, so we'll left-click these to take them out of the queue until the supply goes back yellow. Don't know much about a lot of stuff in Victoria 2, and factories and production is one of them. I think what you want to do is subsidize the factories. Just click this button right here, but I'm not sure. If you know more about this, then feel free to choose whichever option you think is correct for the industry. But for the army, we're going to divide up our massive stack of cavalry and try and disperse them out with the infantry and the cavalry and the artillery. I've learned that the 415 division, or 4 infantry, 1 cavalry, and 5 artillery is usually a pretty good all-around division. Sort of like the 7 infantry, 2 artillery in Hearts of Iron 4. So I'm going to try and make as many of those as we can for our first war. Alright, I believe I've sorted out the army correctly. We'll know for sure once we unpause and all the troops start moving. But the last thing we need to do is do our influence, because to form Germany, you're going to need to have all the German states in your sphere of influence. So we'll start off with the non-contested ones, like with Holstein here, which we'll set on high influence, and with Luxembourg, because they're going to be partially uncontested. The more contested ones are going to be Hanover at right now, but after coronation of Queen Victoria, they will leave the UK sphere of influence, and the South German states, which we may have to take through war. We'll also probably have to go to war with Denmark for this state right here, Schleswig-Holstein. Anyway, let's unpause and get up to a good speed. I think 4 speed should do here. And we've been discredited immediately in Luxembourg. UK has accepted the alliance, and there's more alliance offers. Let's accept all of these and stop influencing in Luxembourg, because you never want to influence while you're on a discredit. Our budget is still a bit red, so we can do a little bit of tinkering with it, take down our military spending for the time being. This can always be adjusted later if you find that you're making a lot of money. Right after we begin, we also want to begin justifying a war goal on France to acquire Elsaß-Lothringen under the Acquire State war goal. It's going to take us 308 days, and our maximum infamy is going to be 11. Now, infamy is kind of like world tension in Hearts of Iron 4. It's a limit to certain actions that you can do. Once you hit 25 infamy, a lot of great powers will start to declare war on you, and you'll lose all your alliances. So you always want to stay under your cap, and looks like the Netherlands are offering us an alliance. I think they have a war goal on Belgium, is that right? Yeah, I think that's right. We'll have to see if they call us in against a war with Belgium. We've got an event giving us quicker acquisition speed for our casus belli on France, and we can also increase opinion in Holstein here. We can increase our opinion up to cordial. Your opinion needs to be friendly, and then you have to have 100 influence, which is seen over here. It may look a bit confusing at the beginning, but it's a little bit more simple once you start to understand it. Got an alliance offer from Lubeck, and we're also getting a Dutch call to arms against the United Kingdom. So if we do that, we're going to unally with the United Kingdom. So we're going to have to go in and declare this, which will end our alliance with the Dutch, but it will preserve our alliance with the United Kingdom. Our casus belli was discovered, and this cost us 6.4 infamy, which is a fairly good outcome. It's about half of our maximum. We can again increase our sphere of influence in Holstein here, bringing that up to a friendly influence. And we must send a Prussian expedition. It will give us 5 prestige, which will help our great power score. Already at number 4. I think we started at number 5, which is quite good. Luxembourg, I think we are off the discredit. The discredit would be shown over here next to our name, so let's keep influencing. They're already cordial because I believe they have accepted German culture, which we are the leading German state at this time. Two Sicilies is offering us an alliance, which is going to be very helpful because right now they are the predominant Italian power. And an alliance offer from Brazil. This could be interesting, although we're probably going to have to end that alliance because they're going to call us into some sort of war against Bolivia or something. Belgium wants military access, and Belgium is in the sphere of the United Kingdom, who is our ally, so we should probably give them military access. And we have an alliance offer from another German state. Got discredited again in Luxembourg, which is what we wanted. Let's stop influencing and make sure France doesn't get up to 50 influence, or else they might be able to ban our embassy. Brazil is already calling us into a war, which we're going to have to decline because we don't want to get involved in anything right now until we declare war on France. We've now gained our casus belli, allowing us to demand most states that we would want from France. So let's just merge up our armies here and get ready on the Russian border, because I believe France is allied to Russia, who they will call in our war. But if you're okay at the war mechanics in Victoria 2, you should be able to beat up Russia, who I believe becomes the war leader, and sue them for peace. We'll explain this in a second once we actually do it, but our last troop is just getting deployed here. Once they arrive at Berlin, we'll merge up the army. Actually, I bet we can meet them halfway here. And move over to the Russian border. Then we'll have 3 armies on each front, and we're at our military cap, which is perfect. So move this army right here into the center, and cover all flanks on the Russian front. Let's try and fight the pandemic with every available means, and we'll increase influence again in Holstein. We're at 100 influence, meaning we can add them to our sphere. Now we don't really need to add any more influence, we just need to make sure they don't get taken out of our sphere again, because they're going to be necessary as a core for our formable nations. We're now ready to declare war on France, so we're going to hit declare war and then acquire state. Alsace-Lorraine, call our allies. Anyone does not accept will unally with us, which is 2 Sicilies and Switzerland, but most importantly, the United Kingdom and all the German states will accept the call to arms, which will help us by distracting the French fleet over here in the Channel, along with some of their troops over on the northern coast. So let's move into Alsace-Lorraine. Holding Alsace-Lorraine, which is the war goal province, will allow us to gain some ticking war score, which will allow us to get more war score against Russia, who is going to be the war leader, I believe, once they get called into the war. So let's unpause and everything should register. We'll maintain defensive positions on this division and move in these other stacks. Now that we're finished justifying on France, we're going to justify a new war goal on Denmark to acquire our core for the German Empire. which is Schleswig-Holstein. I think it's also going to be prudent to increase our land unit spending so that we have a better army for this war. Our warlord just got discovered on Denmark, which causes 8.6 infamy, which is not optimal, but it is what it is because we really need that state. I believe we're now able to freely influence in Luxembourg again. And I think we should probably start influencing in some of our contested territories, especially in Saxony, where we need to rip them from Austria's sphere of influence, along with Bavaria, Württemberg, and Baden. We got discredited in Luxembourg again, which means we're going to immediately stop, because we now have 45 influence and the French only have 14. We also got discredited in Saxony, which is exactly what we wanted, so we're just going to stop influencing there, and when the discredit runs out, we're going to begin influence again. We've cleaned out the Russian front, and now they want to accept a white peace, but we're just going to keep going a little bit longer until we get them to accept the acquiring of Elsaß-Lothringen. Looks like the Papal States have showed up. I think they got military access through Austria. So we're going to have to go back there real quick and deal with them. But they shouldn't be too much of an issue. Just won a huge battle and we got a new technology. Let's go over for railroad, although there's one downside to railroad in that it will jank your ears because some sound plays every time you upgrade a railroad, which is one of the most annoying things I have ever heard in Paradox Grand Strategy games, but just have to sit through it. There might be a way to turn it off in the options and sound settings, which I'll try to figure out for viewer enjoyment. Alright, after that huge battle, it looks like they want to accept peace terms to acquire Alsace-Lorraine. So I think we're going to immediately accept that in case we lose a battle and they won't accept. And we should... Yes, we've now peaced out with the Russian Empire, meaning we peace out with their whole alliance. So we now have a truce with France and Russia until 1842. We can do something here. Yes, Reichsland Elsaß-Lothringen, which is the German name for Alsace-Lorraine. We can reintegrate it, gain 5 prestige, and change some names to German. Fantastic. Let's now get back into our own territory and prepare for a war against Denmark. Alright, we can take a look at where France is influencing in the southern states. We don't want to influence there because it's just going to be a massive battle between us, Austria, and them, which we don't need to have at the moment. Right here, Württemberg, only Austria has been influencing, so we'll get them to discredit us and put them on the discreditment timer. Saxony is already on the discredit timer, and France has been influencing here and here, along with in Luxembourg, but we're already discredited there. And once the coronation event happens, we will be able to take Hanover without any issues at all. We've been discredited in Württemberg, that is perfect. We just gained our casus belli, which allows us to demand Danish Schleswig-Holstein. You can tell it's not their core, I think, because it has Danish in front of it, meaning that it is not already considered Danish. It is German, which is why we need it to form the German Empire. Let's now declare war on Denmark. Declare a state. Oh, that's the wrong state, I believe. Let me cancel that. Declare war and acquire Danish Schleswig-Holstein. We can call allies, but we just want to make sure that the United Kingdom is going to accept because we don't want to break our alliance. Actually, I think everyone's going to accept. You could probably just vassal swarm Denmark, by which I mean people getting called into the war. I believe it's a term that originated originally in EU4, by which these people will just invade Denmark because they're not very powerful and they have so many little stacks. We can do it ourselves though, because the rest of our army isn't really doing anything, and we're finished up with our big war against France and Russia, which is perfect. Let's see if Holstein gets called in. I believe they're a vassal of Denmark. Everybody has accepted. That's very good. And I think we have military access through them actually, so we can invade Denmark through there. They're already in our sphere of influence, so we don't need to invade them. It's not going to be necessary. And there we go. They're going to accept the acquisition of Danish Schleswig-Holstein. Welcome to Prussia. We now own this state right here. Our discredit is up in Saxony, which I think means it should be up in Luxembourg as well. They also have a cordial opinion of us. So France only has 2 influence, and the United Kingdom, who is our ally, has 7 influence. So we should be good to go in Luxembourg and hopefully get our relations up to friendly, and then go on the last stretch to add them to our sphere, because currently Luxembourg is not in any sphere. The issue with Saxony is that we're going to have to remove them from Austria's sphere first to get them into our sphere, which is an extra 100 influence. In the meantime, let's see if we can reorganize our army and set it all to Berlin and see what we need to make those 415 troops. We can now increase opinion in Luxembourg, meaning that they are now friendly, so we're only 100 influence away. Although France is also influencing, hopefully they'll discredit us and waste their influence. Switzerland wants to re-ally. Sounds like a good idea. We can now do something in Saxony. I think we can increase our opinion. Yeah, we should definitely do that, because Austria has passed 25. I was not noticing that. They should discredit us now, and if they don't, yeah, they're not discrediting us. We'll stop, and then we'll start again later, because we don't want to get banned. Looks like France has given up in Luxembourg. We've just got an experimental railroad. I'll see if I can show you what I mean by those railroad noises. But let's go back to army and get some better artillery, because we're going to be training up a lot of that for our 415 units. And then we'll see if we can maybe get a better naval doctrine, so we can upgrade our ports, which might help us if we decide to continue this series on with colonizing. We also appear to be off our discredit in Württemberg, so we're just going to start influencing there again. We're off our discredit in Saxony, so we're going to begin influencing again. And we'll take another look at the influence in these other German states. Looks like France isn't really influencing in Bavaria, so we're going to start influence. And Austria is actually wasted their influence trying to keep France down, I think. So that's going to be very helpful for us. In Württemberg, we're also off our discredit, so it looks like we've been discredited in Saxony. This is the game you have to play, just getting the AI to waste points on you so that you can rip them from your sphere and get them into the German sphere of influence so you can form Germany. Because if they get to 50, you never want them to get to 50, because then they can ban your embassy and you'll lose all your progress. So you want to make sure they stop at 25 and waste on a discredit. Looks like there's no influence happening in Baden, so I'm just going to increase influence and hope Austria starts up and discredits us here. And it looks like we're about to add Luxembourg to our sphere of influence. Not getting discredited in Bavaria, so we're going to have to stop and then start again in a minute. It looks like we got discredited here. We're at 40 influence though, so we're going to be able to increase opinion soon. Let's just stop for the time being. And the coronation of Queen Victoria. Fantastic. Now we have Hanover, which is out of the UK sphere of influence, and they're opposed to the UK and they're cordial to us, so it should be no problem to build up enough influence to get them into our sphere. Let's see if we can get a discredit in Bavaria. I think we've waited long enough here. And we got discredited. Perfect. We've now reached 50. Let's increase our opinion and stop influencing, because we need them to discredit us. And we can increase Luxembourg to added to sphere. Although we should wait a little bit, because when you're at 100, you actually decrease the effects of everyone else's influence. So let's take down that French influence. As soon as we add them to our sphere, we're going to be back down at 0. Oh, and Hanover as well. That's handy. Let's increase our opinion there. They're friendly, and we should have no problem getting them in our sphere as well. Everyone's at 0. Let's add Luxembourg to our sphere. Because Luxembourg is a slightly contested territory, we want to make sure that we have enough influence to keep them in our sphere once we add them. We're off our discredit in Saxony. Let's start influencing again. France just got discredited in Baden, so I think it might be time to start influencing again. We're off our discredit there as well. And Austria has 18 influence. Württemberg, we're also off our discredit. Let's see if we can run it up to 50 and then hopefully have them discredit us again. We can take some reforms. That's going to be very helpful. I think the more militancy you have, our militancy is, it is what it is. But I think the more militancy you have, the more likely you are to force reforms through the upper house. We've got some lobbying movements. Let's take a look at the factions organizing here. Campaign for censored press. I think we need to... Now that does sound strange, because censored press is usually in relation to free press, but we're actually moving it up from state press only. So we have about 500k people in a popular movement lobbying for this reform, so we're going to take the most popular reform to try and keep any revolts from happening. We're not getting a discredit in Saxony, so we're going to have to pause here and then start again in a few weeks. How are we doing in Bavaria? We're off our discredit, so I think we'll start again and see if we can get that up to 50 to a friendly opinion. And in Württemberg, they're probably about to discredit us, but we might be able to make it up to 50 nonetheless to increase our opinion. Thing to note, increased opinion is different from increased relations. Increased relations is like between you and them, but increased opinion is between you and all the majors for the influence in that nation. So you need to be at friendly if you're going to start getting influence to add them in your sphere. As you can see, it requires friendly and 100 influence. So let's increase our opinion, and let's see if we get discredited. No, well then we're just going to have to pause here as well. Baden, we need to get discredited, but we did pretty well while France was discredited. We made a lot of progress in Baden. The thing is, the AI won't influence while you're not influencing, because Austria is also trying to get influence over against France in Italy and other parts, like in the Balkans, I think, as well. But soon enough, the Ottomans will actually drop out of great power status, or at least they usually will, and someone like Belgium or the Netherlands will come up to fill that place. So it's not worth usually trying to sphere any of these powers in the Benelux region, except for Luxembourg, obviously, because they're a vassal of the Netherlands. And we can do something here in Saxony. Where did that say? Bavaria. Alright, looks like we can increase opinion in Bavaria, and hopefully they'll discredit us because they're about to be at 25. Well then, let's just stop influencing there for a minute. And we're getting an alliance from Sweden. This could be quite helpful. This could have actually been helpful against Denmark, but Denmark's so weak it really doesn't matter. Alright, let's see if we can get a discredit in Baden. And in Württemberg. It's like we're also trying to get a discredit in Saxony as well. And once we get discredit in all those places, we should be able to start the discredit timer. There we are, all four at once. So on 15th of April, we're going to start influencing en masse again. Alliance offer from the two Sicilies. I think we lost them in the initial war with France and Russia, so we'll just re-ally them there. They're a little bit more powerful now. I think they have a few more divisions now, so they might accept and helping us do some things in Italy if we go to war with France and Russia again. We just researched iron muzzle loaded artillery. Let's go over to culture and get ideological thought, which gives us an extra national focus, which should help us with the amount of soldiers we can have in the field. Alright, so in my reorganization of the army, we were only able to create 2 415 divisions because we don't have enough artillery. So I'm going to start training up as much artillery as we can in hopes that we're able to get in some of those better, more equipped divisions with artillery in them. We can add Hanover to the sphere of influence, but let's just tick down the UK's influence while we're sitting at 100. Also, it looks like Russia added 1 influence to Holstein. We can just influence there real quick and get that away back down to 0. And France, it looks like, was trying to influence there as well. You got to be careful with even nations that are already in your sphere can be ripped from your sphere, as we're about to do with Austria. So just be careful of that and make sure you're at 100 so you can either ban their embassy or get them back by just influencing again. And it looks like we're ready to influence en masse again. Looks like we're past the date in which we're ready to influence en masse, so let's wait until we're done in Hanover and Holstein so that we can be more efficient in our influences and just try and keep these nations in our sphere. Done in Holstein, and we're just about done in Hanover. I don't think the UK is trying to influence at all, so we should be okay. Let's just add them to our sphere. And we are ready to begin influence in Saxony. Situation in Saxony looks pretty good. Austria doesn't have much influence. Same with in Bavaria, but I think France was influencing here. Württemberg looks like a pretty good situation. Baden looks like an okay situation as well. We might just be able to run it up to 100. Because I think we're friendly in all these areas, right? Yeah, we're friendly here. Friendly here. Friendly here. And we're friendly in Saxony. So we just need to get 100 and then remove them, and then 100 and add them. But once we remove them from Austria's sphere, we can ban Austrian embassies, which makes it easier to add them to our sphere. Looks like we have cap for one more clever transport. I'm just going to build up one of those. And I'm going to reorganize our navy into a battle fleet and a transport fleet. And look at that. Very good event right there. Let's just add a new unit here and put all of our, I believe if you double click or shift click, it's one of those. Can't remember which one it is right now, but if you, shift and then left click, moves all of the type to a new fleet. So this is our transport fleet and our battle fleet. We don't really have a battle fleet because we're not really a naval power at the moment. We'll try and work on that though. Looks like Austria has passed 25 influence in Saxony. Let's pause there. Let's take a look at Württemberg. Yeah, they're only at 5 influence there. And Baden, they've already passed. Okay, let's pause in both of those spaces. And they passed it in Bavaria as well. We're going to stop there. We got some more artillery out. We got 5 more divisions. Let's try and get a discredit in Saxony, Bavaria, and all the German states where we need. Oh, and looks like they've gone over it in Württemberg, so we'll pause there. And in Baden, we'll try and get them to discredit us as well. And we've been discredited in all 3 places. Let's pause our influence again. We got some more artillery out. I'm going to try and shuffle around our divisions accordingly to make as many 415s as we can. Alright, let's try and get a discredit in Württemberg. And we're ready to begin influencing in our other 3. So we'll start up in Saxony. In Bavaria. What? Spain. Oh my goodness, Spain's going to jank us up. They got 45 influence in Bavaria. Never seen that one before. Never seen that one before. Okay, are they actually influencing? No, they might have gotten an event. Hopefully, that's what happened. Looks like we're making plenty of money. I'm going to start turning down the taxes. See if we can increase our general happiness here. And maybe start turning up the education to increase our literacy. Alright, we've left a little close in Baden. I'm not sure if we're going to... Okay, we got discredited in Saxony. In Baden, we might get forced back down to 0 because they might accidentally get up to 50. Hopefully, they'll choose to discredit us instead. And I think we got discredited in Saxony. We're getting close to 100 in Saxony, so we'll be able to rip them from the Austrian sphere very shortly. Alright, let's begin again in Baden and see if we can get them to discredit us. That would be very nice. Yes, perfect. Almost got knocked back all the way down to 0. And in Bavaria, we got discredited. That's perfect. We're at 75 in Bavaria, though, so we're doing quite well. Just off our discredit in Württemberg. Let's begin our influence again. Oh, and we got expelled in Württemberg. Wasn't paying attention here. Let's take a look. They're down at 2 as well, so let's just stop influencing here for a minute. Although we aren't actually on a discredit, so we should probably keep influencing. Just completed ideological thought. Let's go for state and government, and we'll set our focus onto our most populous state, Brandenburg here, to encourage soldiers. Hopefully bring up our army cap. We're off our discredit in Saxony. Let's begin our influence again at full speed. Got discredited in Württemberg again. That is exactly what we need. And in Saxony we also got discredited. And we're ready to go in Baden. Got discredited there immediately. Looks like we're off our discredit in Bavaria. Let's keep going. Let's see if we can get them to discredit us once more in Bavaria before we remove them from their sphere. Because I don't think once we remove them from their sphere that they're going to stop influencing. Well, it looks like they just discredited someone else, so I think that's the best we're going to get in Bavaria. Alright, this is the best we can do in Bavaria, so I think it's time to start running it. Let's make sure we're not influencing anywhere else. You can check that by sorting by priority of influence. In Luxembourg we're influencing. We're going to have to stop that. I think we're trying to decrease some French influence there to make sure it didn't get ripped out of our sphere. And let's just see if we can go in Bavaria, because I think they run free. Once we get them out of our sphere, I don't think they're going to stop influencing, because it's going to be their top priority. So let's just get it up to 100 here. And immediately remove them from the Austrian sphere. Okay, now, let's see if we can make a run and pass Austrian influence before they start influencing. Sometimes they give up like they're doing right now, not influencing at all, which is quite curious. Now, Bavaria is probably the most powerful of these German states. Sometimes they actually become a major. They have now left the Austrian sphere, and they will soon joining our sphere, which is perfect. I'm still a bit perturbed about this 47 Spanish influence in Bavaria. So it seems like it's not really a race in Bavaria, meaning I think we don't have to like run as fast as we can. So I think we should be able to start influencing where our discredit has finished. Like in Saxony, our discredit has finished. So we'll start influencing there as well. Although we don't want to be running in two places while they're out of the Austrian sphere at the same time. We'll be sure to keep an eye on that. In Baden, our discredit's going to wear off soon, next month, and in Württemberg, it has already worn off. So let's begin influencing again. Alright, on Württemberg, we're going to have to stop. They just passed 25. And on Saxony, we'll get it up right back to, like, near 100 like we did on Bavaria. And the United States is starting to have events leading up to the Civil War. Alright, let's pause in Saxony and see if we can get a discredit there before we go and run and get them in our sphere. We're now also ready again on Baden, it looks like. Austria just woke up. We have to commit fully to Bavaria now, although for some reason they wake up and sometimes they go back to sleep. So let's start back on Baden while they're asleep. Once we pass 65, we can just ban their embassy if we see them doing that again. They are doing that again. So let's stop in Baden. And they're trying to build some influence. So let's get to 65 and then ban their embassy before adding it to our sphere, which means they can't do any influence actions while over the duration of a year. So let's ban their embassy. Ban the Austrian embassy. They are friendly in Bavaria, so they would just be able to immediately re-add them to their sphere once they reach 100 influence. So they've now been banned. Let's hope France doesn't get up to anything too stupid. And let's get back in Baden. We're ready to start a quick influence in Saxony. Hopefully we get a discredit. Yes, we just got discredited. Then now let's wait here. It's telling us we can remove them from the sphere, but let's wait until our discredit runs out because we don't want to be influencing while we are discredited. Although if they're going to keep influencing, we may as well influence to try and keep their influence down to a minimum. We're going to have to stop in Baden because they passed the 25 threshold. Let's see if we can get a discredit in Baden. And there it is. Württemberg, let's begin influencing again. And we got a discredit there. That's perfect. Looks like we're mostly able to hold down the influence of Austria in Saxony, even though we are on a discredit. But that discredit's going to wear off in a few months, at which point we'll try and get them out of their sphere and just run free. Alright, our discredit just wore off in Saxony. Let's see if that helps to keep their influence down. Alright, that's not helping. Let's just remove them from the Austrian sphere. Now, Bavaria we have until 19th of February, so we're going to turn that down to priority 2, so that Saxony can be on priority 3. Actually, we'll turn that off for a minute, because this is a bit of an intense influence here. Though they appear to have given up, so let's just keep influencing. Nope, they just discredited us in Saxony. Let's see if they're going to keep influencing. Nope, they appear not to be influencing. Nope, hold on, they are. Let's see, if we stop, will they stop? They do appear to stop. So once our discredit effect wears off, we're just going to keep going again like we usually would. So we have to keep a close eye on us. And we can go back to 3 on Bavaria. Try and get them in our sphere before they get off of their ban. And we're ready to go on Baden. Let's begin influence there. And we'll begin influence soon in Württemberg. Looks like they're on full influence in Baden, so we're going to have to stop there and wait to get the discredit there. And we're about to get 100 influence in Bavaria. Although they're going to be off their ban in a few days. So this might become an issue. We'll have to see if we have to ban them again. Let's wait to add them to our sphere. See if they start influencing. Let's start influencing again in Württemberg. We're off our discredit. And let's try and get into discredit in Baden. Let's also pay attention to Bavaria, because 4 days, Austria is going to be off the ban. Might start causing some issues. Let's see what happens. Alright, we got discredited in Baden. And Austria is... yeah, they're starting to go ham again. We're going to have to ban the embassy here of Austria. And we're at 35 influence, meaning we should be able to get back up to 100 easily before this wears off, and then get up to 100 again, so we can limit their influence. Stop in Württemberg, they passed 25, and I believe we are off our discredit in Saxony, although they've already been influencing a few points. Let's see if we can keep up with them. Change down Bavaria to a low and Saxony up to a high, because we're starting to have a race with them since they're out of the Austrian sphere now. Looks like we can enact some reforms here. Let's see, which one is... do we have one regarding suffrage? Yes, we do have. We have vote franchise. I think that, yeah, that's the same. That's the reform that they're lobbying for, so we'll change that up. 10% of the population wants it, may as well enact it. And we moved up to number 3 great power. Let's try and get a discredit in Württemberg. We've been sitting here for a little bit. And we got discredited immediately. Perfect. So we're starting to get our election events here. We need to pay close attention because we need one that gives us jingoism support if we do get one about the army and patriotism and whatnot. Just always take the issue that gives you jingoism. These other ones don't matter that much. Just try to anger the least amount of people. So since we have 0% for atheism, we're going to anger the atheists, which I believe is this one here. Yes. Atheists gain 0.2 militancy, which is no issue because there are no atheists in Germany at the moment. And we're off our discredit in Baden. Let's begin influencing again. Just finished a technology. Let's go over and grab medicine. Alright, they passed the safe threshold in Baden. We're going to have to stop influencing there. And we're almost at 100, so we're going to start running in Baden as well. Saxony, we've almost got 100 influence. And in Bavaria, we've almost got 100 influence as well. Here, this one we want to anger the people supporting laissez-faire. Although, if you can anger no one, I think that's quite good as well. We'll just select the one that reforms our popularity the least. Oh my goodness, I didn't realize they were at 49 on Baden. That might be a bit of an issue. But last time we thought it was an issue, it turned out not to be an issue at all. Now we can incorporate Saxony into our sphere, which we will do gladly. Add to sphere. And I believe we can now form the North German Confederation. All we needed to form, I believe all we needed to form North Germany was Holstein, Hanover, and Saxony, because it requires all the North German culture. Here's the culture map mode. North German culture is brown, and as you can see, Saxony is North German culture along with Holstein and Hanover. But we don't need the South German states for this one. This will really help us in a war against Austria, because we will be going to war against Austria to form Super Germany, obviously. It will allow us to gain way more core population and allow us to get more soldiers to support our army. So let's go and enact this decision immediately to form the North German Confederation. Perfect. As you can see, we are now united. This includes Elsaß-Lothringen and the other bits, even around South Germany, because we'd already owned those before. And as you can see, our military cap is now 95. I'll train up 15 artillery here to integrate these into our divisions that are not 415s yet, and then we'll see if we can train up more divisions with the rest of our division cap. Also have more naval cap. I think we should work on building a bit more of a battle fleet here, a few more frigates, and then 4 man-of-war sounds good. We can add in some clipper transports to get us up to our cap. So now that we formed the North German Confederation, this is our first step to becoming Super Germany. We're now the number 2 great power, second only to our ally, the United Kingdom, I believe. Yeah, that's right. And once we form Super Germany, I believe we will be able to take the number 1 spot as long as we build up our navy a little bit. Let's focus all of our influence efforts on Bavaria now, to do as much as we can before they get off the ban, which will be 2nd of March. Okay. So let's get them in our sphere, obviously, and then try and get as much influence as we can before Austria starts influencing, so we can hopefully ban them again. And the only other influence here is Spain, which they're not doing anything, so let's just immediately add them to the sphere. Bavaria is now in the sphere, and there's only 2 left. Alright, let's see if we can get discredited in Baden, I'm not sure. Let's begin influence. Let's pause in Bavaria for a minute because it's a bit of a shaky situation. We need as much influence as we can before they realize what we're doing. Okay, we got discredited in Baden. That is perfect. Let's keep going in Bavaria. Alright, Austria is about to be off the ban in Bavaria. But we're already got 25 influence here. They don't appear to be influencing, actually. So let's just get our influence up to 100 and wear them down if they do decide to influence. Once we're off for discredit in Baden, I think we're going to be ready to run and get them into our sphere. And Württemberg will be coming up soon as well. It looks like Austria is getting some influence back in Bavaria. Let's see if we can get to 65 so we can ban them again. That would be really helpful. It's going to be close though. They might get to 50 before we get to 65. No, I think we're going to do it just barely. And it's just Austria influencing in Bavaria. Let's ban their embassy again. And they've been banned. Let's get back up to 100 influence. Let's start influencing in Württemberg again, because they're the last German state we need, and we have a fair bit of influence compared to Austria. Seems like Austria's focusing all of their influence efforts on Germany now, because we seem to be doing so much now that we formed the North German Confederation. Who's this? Alliance offer from Bavaria. That's going to be very handy. That means Bavaria will be able to help us in our attack against Austria. Alright, let's stop in Württemberg again. They're getting close to 50. See if we can get them to stop. And they're still going. Oh, that's not good. I don't think we can ban them either. No, we cannot. Are they going for a ban on us? If they don't stop soon, we're going to have to start influencing again. Alright, they've stopped at 52. Hopefully they don't decide to expel us when we start influencing again. Hopefully they decide to discredit us. And the UK got discredited in Baden. Very interesting use of Austrian influence. We're off our discredit, so let's see if we can run in Baden. Move from the sphere. And let's get going. They are top priority. Bavaria, we just need to get influence in the background so that Austria doesn't rip it out of our sphere again. Alright, we just finished a new technology. Let's go research markets structure. I believe this helps with our influence. Let's see if they'll stop in Baden and discredit us. It appears that they're not stopping, so we best keep going and see what we can do. Call ally from Sweden. Who are they at war with? I think they're at war with Denmark. Okay, this could be an interesting opportunity. They're at war with Denmark, right? So let's move our troops up to the Danish border and see if we want to aid Sweden. But we really have to focus on our influence. Top priority right now is the influence. I think we're going to get banned in Baden, but we'll have to see. We've been discredited in Baden. That's probably the best result we could ask for. Are they going to stop influencing now? Nope, they're still influencing. Alright, let's keep influencing along with them. Because if they're not going to stop, we better not stop either. Auto declined Sweden. I forgot about that. Let's see if we can form an alliance again. We'll proceed with that. And I don't mind going to war with Denmark either, because looks like Sweden is trying to knock out their army. I don't think there's a join war button. Very sadly, I think you have to wait for your ally to call you in. But it is what it is. Looks like they've stopped influencing in Baden. That's quite interesting. Seems like they influence on and off sporadically, so even if we're influencing on a discredit here, I don't think it really works into their algorithm there. They must be having some issues like down in the Italian influence area or something like that, or else they'd probably be influencing at full. But it's the little, the little janks with the AI that help you to do these sort of things. Austria is banned until May in Bavaria. It looks like they started influencing again in Baden. If we could just get up to 65 and ban them for a year, then we should be good to get them in our sphere of influence. But we're going to have to see if that's going to be possible. We should also be looking at Württemberg as well, because see if we can get a discredit. And we got discredited. Perfect. They stopped again in Baden. We'll keep influencing as far as we can up to 100, but if we see them... Oh, it looks like they're influencing again. We'll just ban their embassy once we get to 65. Hopefully we don't get immediately thrown out at 50. No, we didn't. Well, that is... Oh, and we got expelled. Well, we're still on a discredit, but let's see if they start influencing again. Yep, they're still influencing. Once they get to 100 now, they're just going to they're going to get them back in their sphere. So there's not much we can do. We might have to invade Baden if we can't get an alliance with them. So let's see if we can do something in Württemberg once we get off our discredit to see if we can distract them. We've been discredited in Baden. That should, it's probably a good outcome. We just got discredited again. We were already on a discredit, so we're sort of used to it at this point. If they just keep discrediting us over and over again, that would be quite helpful, because we might actually be able to add them to our sphere of influence at that point. In Württemberg, we're still discredited. And we're off our discredit in Württemberg. Let's begin influence there. For some reason, Austria is influencing at the same speed as us in Baden, which is quite curious. So if we get off our discredit, which will happen in a few months, might be able to take Baden. Also got a new national focus. Sachsen is one of our new most populated provinces, so I'm going to assign our extra national focus to encourage soldiers there. How are we at number 4? We just completed the market structure research. Let's go over to commerce and get the business regulations research, as this is going to help us to get a little bit more influence every time we do decide to do so. We've been discredited in Baden, but we now have more influence in Austria, meaning we should be able to get up to a ban since they are no longer in Austria's sphere. Now going to ban the Austrian embassy. We're now free to gain up 100 influence and add them to our sphere. Now going to try and get a discredit in Württemberg before we start running to get them into our sphere. Actually, Austria seems to have discredited Russia, so let's just go with that while they're a little bit low on influence and remove them from Austria's sphere as well. And we'll turn down Baden to 1 priority influence because we are not actively trying to race Austria since we just banned their advisors. Austria is influencing again in Bavaria. Looks like we're going to have to ban their embassy there. We just unlocked a reform. Let's take a look again under our movements. We've got a campaign for free press. So we're going to see if we can increase our press rights. Yes, there we are. We can go to free press, and that will help satisfy 609,000 of our citizens lobbying for that reform. Oh, and look like we are now number 2 great power. Fantastic. We're now very close to being able to add all of these German miners to our sphere, so we're going to begin a justification on Austria. We're going to justify the war goal to humiliate because this will take away loads of prestige from Austria, which is going to help to take them off of great power status, which we need to form Super Germany. It's also the cheapest in terms of infamy, and we need to preserve our infamy and war scores so that we can add them to our sphere later in the war. Because we're now justifying on Austria, I don't think we're going to need to mobilize, so let's just build up our military to the 107 cap. So we can create 4 more divisions of 10 units, so we can train up 40 more units under our cap. So we're going to go with the 415, and I'll train up some more in that division template. Our casus belli was just discovered, and we got caught for 2.5 infamy, which is a good percentage, but still it's a kind of non-infamous war goal. So we should be able to get by just fine. We only have 4.5 infamy in total, which is plenty enough to stay under our cap and form Super Germany. Our sphere is ready to be expanded in Württemberg. Let's add them to our sphere as soon as we drain away some of the influence from Austria. We've just researched business regulations. We're now going to go over to the Navy tab and research steamers. We've now gained our casus belli against Austria, which means it is time to get our last sphere member in, which is Baden, and then we are going to be ready to declare war. If Austria keeps having issues with influence over here in some of these German miners while you're doing the war with Austria, you can try and get an alliance with them and call them in because you can't influence a nation that you're at war with. For good measure, I'm just going to ban the Austrian embassy in Baden before we add them to our sphere, so we don't have any issues with Austrian influence in our sphere during the war with Austria. We're getting an alliance offer from Württemberg. I think we're going to accept that, but we don't need to call them into the war against Austria. We're now ready to add Baden to our sphere. There's no influence on Austria, so we don't need to wait to drain off any other influence. Could form Germany right now, but we're going to try and get Austria in this as well. So let's go and declare war on Austria. Don't need to call any allies, and we'll just select the humiliate war goal. If we call our allies, they might start adding demands since the war is going to go extremely well for us. And our troops are all prepared on the Austrian front. So let's start moving in. It's always handy to get in on the defense, so if you see Austria's about to attack here, they're going to try and get as many troops as possible into this battle to try and win it. Once they get their full stack in, we'll move all our troops around it. Just research steamers. Let's go into the army and research military plans. As long as you keep your own core territory from getting sieged out by Austria or any of your allies, you should be able to keep up enough jingoism support so that you're able to add the extra war goal later, which is an integral part of this strategy. So there seems to be a peculiar situation. Baden, who has access through Austria, is at war with Serbia, who's in the Ottoman sphere and also at war with Austria. So we want Baden, who's in our sphere, to win against Serbia so that Serbia can't do well enough to demand anything from Austria, because we want to take as much of Austria as we can. Preferably all of it. At this point, we've sieged out about half of Austria, and they have no troops left. Since they've mobilized all their reserves, that means their population has gone down drastically, and they should be dropping out of great power status. At this point, they are at number 8 great power, and it takes a little while for great powers to update, so they're at 95 right now. Who is below Austria? Sweden is below Austria, so it looks like Sweden or the Netherlands, hopefully not Bavaria, is going to become a great power when Austria drops out. If Bavaria becomes a great power, then they're no longer going to be out of our sphere, but they're at number 13, so I don't think we should have to worry about that. Hopefully Sweden or the Netherlands can get enough great power score to overtake Austria soon enough. We just finished our research. Let's go for nationalism and imperialism. It gives us an extra national focus, which is going to be quite helpful. We've now been able to siege away all of Austria's industry and prestige, so they have lost their sphere of influence because they have stopped becoming a great power, meaning they will no longer affect our sphere of influence in the southern German states, we should be all good in that circumstance. We cannot add a war goal though, because our jingoism is just a little bit low. In a few months though, we should be all fine. Looks like Baden wants to be our ally now. Let's accept that alliance to increase the probability of cooperation with that nation. We now have enough jingoism to add a new war goal. So we're going to add the war goal to add to sphere, costs 50 war score to demand a peace deal, and it will add Austria to our sphere of influence. Only costs 4 infamy. Let us proceed. The war goal has now been expanded upon, and once our military advisors get back into Austria, we will get them to sue for peace. Also, I was having a little bit of an issue where I had to reload a few times because France and Russia would declare war on me during this war. This issue seemed to be fixed by just calling in the United Kingdom, and they didn't want to add any war goals on Austria because I believe it's because they didn't have any colonies, and the United Kingdom wasn't really interested in taking any land inside of Europe. So once our advisors arrive again, we can request peace, although Austria might request it for us. Let's propose peace right now, the Christmas peace. Humiliate and add Austria to sphere of influence. We have 100% war score, and our peace offer value is only 65. So let us proceed. Now we have everyone in our sphere of influence, including the southern German states and Austria, whose nation is considered a majority German. I think German is the accepted culture, is how the term goes. And now that we're at peace again, our decision, 3 hurrahs for Germany, which will allow us to unite Germany, is now available again. We gain 22 prestige, and we are now able, click the button, and we are Greater Germany, or as some call Super Germany. Once we unpause, our Hearts of Darkness will update there. And perfect. We are now united. Our military cap is much larger, same with our navy cap. It's gone up twofold. And we've actually gotten a new reform. So let's see which movements, suffrage movement we've got. Okay, well, we're going to change our voting franchise down into weighted wealth, just to get that movement to stop. Now it's only liberation movements, which cannot really be appeased through reforms, but that is fine anyway. So I hope you did enjoy this episode. If you like non-Hearts of Iron 4 content and enjoyed Victoria 2, we can continue this on as a series in which we can expand the German Empire into some new boundaries, especially into colonization in Africa and other parts of the world. So thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.